Hi, it's Alaska Granny. What are the first foods you should stockpile? We all know it's important to have food, but where do we begin? What are the first most important foods to stockpile so that you have enough for an emergency situation? The first you need to think about is very cheap, basic, and long-lasting. Start with beans and rice. Pick up a small bag and then store it in an airtight container. Don't just throw the bag on the shelf. Put it in a jar, some kind of a plastic storage container, and if you buy a large bag of rice and a large bag of beans, put them in a 5-gallon bucket. You can get a 5-gallon bucket usually for free at your grocery store at the bakery section. Ask them. Lots of times they'll give them to you for free. You just have to wash them out, then you fill them up, snap on the lid, label them, and know that you have a large supply of food for emergencies. Beans and rice are great. It's a staple all over the world. It can supply you with the protein and the nourishment, the carbohydrates that you need to keep you going in a true emergency situation. Once you have your beans and rice, buy a selection of canned fruits and vegetables. Get a variety so you aren't completely bored with the foods that you have. Next, choose a selection of canned meats. Get a variety again. There's nothing worse than food fatigue. You're trying to have a variety of foods. Try ones you've never really sampled before, but before you buy lots of cans of a meat you're unfamiliar with, buy one, take it home, try it out. If nobody likes it, don't buy any more of them. If it's something that you agree you could all eat, get a few more, put them away in your pantry. Next, look for long-lasting foods. Honey lasts forever on a shelf. Stock up on pasta. Pasta stores for years and years. Store it in an airtight container. You could also use a 5-gallon bucket. One thing to know about foods that are made from wheat is sometimes they can get contaminated with weevils and bugs that are naturally occurring in the wheat product itself. So before you store it away for long term, place it in the freezer for a few days and it'll kill off anything that's remaining in your wheat and your wheat products. Get a big box of oatmeal. Get some peanut butter. Make sure you're only stockpiling foods that you know that you eat and enjoy. You're less likely to want to eat something you don't like in an emergency situation. That's when you're more likely to want the same comfort foods that you're familiar with. Always make sure you're getting a nice stockpile of water. Water is something that we can't live without, but it's hard to store. So put away as much water as you can. When you go to the store, buy a 1-gallon jug. Buy a 5-gallon jug and fill it up yourself. However you choose to store water, make sure that you're storing as much as you can. When you think about the first foods to stockpile, avoid junk foods, foods with low nutrition, and foods that don't have a very long shelf life. Choose foods that include good nutrition, that don't require refrigeration or freezer. It can last in your pantry for at least 6 months. In a power outage, or if your appliance breaks, the food in your freezer and your refrigerator becomes spoiled and useless in a matter of several days. Choose foods that are packaged to last. If they're not packaged sufficiently, repackage them in a way that helps them last longer. Put them into glass jars. Store them in food-safe containers. Store them in a 5-gallon bucket. Make sure your food is designed to be there for you when you really need it. It's not hard to make a food stockpile. Just do it a little at a time. When you go to the store, if you're going to buy a can of tuna that you want to eat this week, buy 2 cans, put one away. Then next time you go to the store, buy 2 of something else. Figure out what foods you like to eat, then add them to your stockpile, rotate and use it, keep adding to it, and before you know it, you'll have a nice supply of foods so that no matter what happens, you have a food stockpile and your family will be okay. Learn more at alaskagranny.com. Please subscribe to the Alaska Granny channel.